Transforming your life with hypnotherapy just got easier with your host, Julie from CoachingHypnosis.net.
Welcome back, dear listener, to Coaching Hypnosis. Yesterday, we pulled back the clinical curtain on the Sybil backlash, exposing how an ambitious therapist can use chemical sedatives and relentless hypnotic pacing to manufacture a world-famous psychological forgery. Today, we're blasting straight off the planet, or at least into the deeply confused subconscious minds of thousands of people who are utterly convinced they did. Today, we decode the bizarre clinical phenomenon of the alien abduction hypnotists. Throughout the 1980s, 90s and into the 2000s, pop culture was completely obsessed with Roswell, crop circles and the X-Files, but outside of TV, thousands of completely normal everyday people, teachers, accountants, mechanics, were walking into therapists' offices with a terrifying secret. They believed that they had giant blank spots in their memory, and during those missing hours, they had been levitated out of their beds by small grey beings with giant eyes to undergo bizarre experiments aboard a spaceship. Now, if you look at the actual data, scientists and sleep specialists eventually found a very terrestrial explanation for these terrors, a common neurological glitch called sleep paralysis. But how did a simple waking nightmare on a random Tuesday morph into highly detailed 300-page memoirs about interstellar medical exams? Enter a specific group of prominent unvetted researchers and fringe therapists, armed with zero training in memory consolidation, but a massive budget for cassette recorders. They decided that the best way to treat sleep anxiety was to stick people in a deep trance and ask them incredibly leading questions until they built an entire galactic federation in their minds. Let's look at the actual clinical architecture of how these practitioners accidentally ran an interstellar dark wellness scam. The absolute catalyst for this movement was an American artist and ufologist named Bud Hopkins, and later a Harvard psychiatrist named Dr. John Mack, proving once again that having a prestigious Ivy League degree doesn't automatically exempt you from losing your absolute mind. The process always started with a client who felt vaguely out of place, anxious, or woke up with a weird bruise they couldn't explain. Instead of looking at stressful work-life balance or the fact they probably just bumped into a coffee table at 2 a.m., these abduction experts would look at them and say, classic signs of a close encounter. Let's do a regression to find out what the Greys did to you. They would guide the client into deep somnambulistic trance state, and in hypnosis, we call this inducing a trance of hypersuggestible amnesia. When a client is in this deeply relaxed, open state, the logical conscious monitor is entirely offline. The brain is operating on raw imagery. If the therapist then begins feeding highly descriptive leading scripts into that open ceiling, is there a beam of light coming through the window? Feel yourself floating up? Are the beings standing around the table? Tell me about their eyes. Step 1. Terrestrial anxiety. Client experiences sleep paralysis or unexplained anxiety. Step 2. Deep somnambulistic trance. Conscious gatekeeper asleep. Imagination unlocked. Step 3. Cosmic confabulation. Therapists' leading prompts shape nightmares into literal history. In clinical terms, this is a textbook example of retrograde confabulation. The brain takes a vague emotional memory of feeling scared or paralyzed in bed and seamlessly weaves the therapist's sci-fi prompts into the fabric of their memory. Within an hour, the client doesn't just imagine an alien, their brain creates a permanent, vivid, literal history of it. Let's look at the absolute sarcastic absurdity of this dark scam. These professionals convinced vulnerable, tired people that their insomnia wasn't caused by caffeine or marital stress, but because a crew of 4-foot-tall grey humanoids travelled 3 million light years across the cosmos just to perform a routine physical exam in a suburban bedroom. Let's be completely real. If you go to an executive coach today because you're feeling burnt out and their solution is to put you in a trance until you remember your past life as a commander on a Martian mothership, you're going to freeze their retainer check before you even get in your car. It's an unhinged boundary violation, but under the authoritative spell of these UFOologist therapists, clients didn't just accept the aliens, they started attending support groups, selling books, and completely alienating their families, trapped inside a sci-fi movie their therapist wrote for them. What makes the alien abduction era so vital to study from a hypnotic perspective is that it demonstrates how incredibly fragile human memory actually is. Once a false memory is hypnotically anchored with intense emotion, the brain cannot distinguish it from real-world event. The panic felt by these clients was real. The threat, however, was entirely manufactured in the office. These practitioners locked their clients in a permanent state of cosmic paranoia using 3 specific mechanisms. 1. The validation of extraterrestrial uniqueness. By telling a client that they were chosen by an advanced alien race for special cosmic mission, their ego experiences a massive, addictive rush of significance. The subconscious brain thinks, I'm not just an anxious person with a boring office job, I'm an interstellar diplomat. Good luck clearing that belief with standard talk therapy. 2. The weaponization of cryptomnesia. Cryptomnesia occurs when a forgotten memory of a movie or a book or an illustration returns to the mind, but the brain mistakes it for an original real-life experience. In a hypersuggestible trance, the client's mind simply downloads visual assets from Close Encounters of the Third Kind or late-night sci-fi reruns to satisfy the therapist's questions, cementing it as authentic trauma history. 3. The denial loop framing. If a client woke up the next day and thought, wait, this is totally insane, there's no way that happened, the therapist has a built-in defense mechanism ready. They would tell the client, that's just the alien scream memory trying to suppress the truth. This creates a perfect psychological closed loop where doubting the narrative is treated as absolute proof that the narrative is real. This is the ultimate danger of unguided, biased hypnotic work. It proves that when the human mind is highly malleable, if a practitioner enters a session with an agenda, whether it's finding a childhood cult, an ancestral curse, or a spaceship, the client's subconscious will happily build that reality for them, completely destroying their grounding in the real world. The profound lesson of alien abduction hypnotists is that your subconscious mind is a powerful creative engine, but it requires a guide who is firmly anchored in objective reality. Authentic ethical breakthrough work never requires you to build elaborate cosmic sci-fi puzzles to explain your current stress, anxiety, or burnout. A legitimate guide won't hunt for space monsters or hidden conspiracies in your head. They will give you the practical, grounded tools to reclaim your power, calm your nervous system, and conquer your goals right there on planet Earth. No tinfoil hats or mothership visits required. If you have been caught in a self-help loop where you're constantly trying to look for weird, esoteric, or deeply convoluted reasons why you feel stuck or exhausted today, it's time to come back down to Earth. You don't have to be fueled by endless imaginary trauma or cosmic crises to build a massively successful business and life. You will go much further when you're fueled by peace. If you're ready to put that invisible weight down, step out of the over-analysis trap and lead with a clear, stable, and completely sovereign mind. I invite you to book your free 40-minute clarity call. Together, we'll clear the mental noise, anchor your nervous system in absolute reality, and install powerful, unshakable subconscious identity grounded firmly in your current real-world leadership. Remember, aligned subconscious plus healed history equals unshakable leadership. Thank you for listening. Align your mind. Visualize your future. Grow your business. Mindfully yours, Julie.